Elon Musk sacrifices his life to save a child from a falling building. The bustling city of San Francisco was alive with the usual hum of activity, cars honking, people chatting, and the constant buzz of technology at its peak. In the heart of the downtown district stood a towering building, its sleek glass exterior gleaming under the afternoon sun. Inside, life continued as normal, unaware of the danger lurking just moments away. Elon Musk, known for his ventures into space, electric cars, and groundbreaking technology, was at the top of the building, meeting with engineers and scientists from one of his latest projects. He had come to check on a new sustainable energy initiative, but as always, his mind was racing with ideas, goals, and plans for the future. There was no time for distractions, and yet, as he looked out at the view of the city, something caught his eye: movement. From the edge of the building, he saw a child, no older than 5 or 6, clinging desperately to the windowsill. The child's small hands were shaking, and her wide eyes were filled with fear. She had somehow found herself on the ledge, clinging to it as the wind whipped around her, threatening to send her plummeting to the ground below. The sight was enough to send a jolt of adrenaline through Musk's veins. The child's parents, frantic and screaming for help, were nowhere in sight. No one else appeared to have noticed the gravity of the situation. The world moved in slow motion for a moment as Musk's mind processed what was happening. Every instinct he had as a father, as an entrepreneur, as someone who had stared down the impossible countless times, now focused on one singular thing: saving this child. Without a second thought, Musk sprang into action. "Is anyone aware of what's happening up here?" he shouted, his voice cutting through the otherwise calm atmosphere. "Call for help now." He sprinted toward the emergency exit, pushing past security personnel who were too stunned to act. Musk's hands fumbled for his phone, desperately calling his own team, ordering them to stop the building's elevators and inform the authorities of the emergency. "Someone's on the ledge," he shouted into the phone, his heart racing. "Get a rescue team up here now." Despite his quick thinking, Musk knew the clock was ticking. Every second mattered. As he reached the edge of the building, he saw the child's hands slip slightly. Her grip was weakening. Musk's heart pounded in his chest as he assessed the situation. The ledge was too high for any normal person to safely reach her from below, and the wind made any attempt from above just as dangerous. Then, without hesitation, Elon Musk did something that would define the rest of his life. With all the physical and mental strength he could muster, he climbed over the edge of the building, his heart hammering in his chest. He had no time to waste. There was only one chance. He was determined to do whatever it took to save this child. With a final, calculated leap, Musk reached the child just as she slipped another inch. His strong arms gripped her firmly, and in that moment, his focus narrowed to nothing but her safety. He could feel the wind whipping past his face, the sense of vertigo and fear creeping up his spine, but he couldn't let go. He couldn't fail her. "Hold on tight, little one," he said, his voice low but steady. "I've got you." As he held her in his arms, the world seemed to vanish around them. There was nothing but the deep, gut-wrenching fear of what could happen if he didn't act fast enough. The child looked up at him, tears streaming down her face, but she trusted him. She clung to him with all her strength, her small hands gripping the fabric of his shirt. "Don't worry," Musk whispered, trying to steady his own racing heart. "We're getting you out of here." The sound of sirens reached his ears, and he knew help was on the way, but it felt like hours before the rescue team arrived. Every second was precious. Musk's grip tightened as he used his free arm to steady himself, positioning himself as carefully as he could to avoid slipping. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the rescue team arrived on the scene, ropes and safety gear in hand. They quickly secured Musk and the child, carefully pulling them back to safety. Musk held the child as if his life depended on it, because, in that moment, it did. The crowd gathered below cheered, their voices filled with awe and relief. Onlookers from nearby buildings had watched the entire ordeal unfold, some filming on their phones, others simply stunned by the incredible bravery they had witnessed. Musk, still holding the child tightly, was pulled back onto solid ground, and the rescue team immediately began checking them both for injuries. The child, still shaken but alive, was handed off to her parents, who rushed to her side with tears in their eyes. Musk, standing beside them, watched as the family embraced, the relief evident in their faces. Thank you so much," the mother cried, her voice trembling with gratitude. Musk nodded silently, too exhausted to respond. His heart still thudded in his chest, the adrenaline pumping through his veins. He could barely comprehend what had just happened. He had put everything on the line to save that little girl, not because he was a hero, but because he had no other choice. His own team arrived shortly afterward, and Musk was ushered into an ambulance for a quick checkup. He was shaken but unharmed. The doctors confirmed he had suffered some bruising, but nothing serious. He had saved the child, and that was all that mattered. As the ambulance doors closed, Musk couldn't help but reflect on the gravity of the situation. He had risked his life to save a child he didn't know, to make sure she had the chance to grow up, to live her life. And in doing so, he had not only defied the expectations of what people thought of him but had shown the world what it truly meant to make a difference. Later, as Musk recovered and the news spread about the rescue, headlines from all corners of the globe covered the story. Elon Musk saves child from falling building, the newspapers read, with articles praising his bravery, his quick thinking, and his willingness to sacrifice everything for a life that wasn't his own. In the months that followed, Musk's life would change forever. The child he saved, now safe and healthy, would become a symbol of hope, her story one of survival, courage, and the impact that one person can have on the world. Musk himself would continue to lead his companies and forge new paths in technology, but this moment, this life-or-death situation, would define his legacy in ways that no business venture or space launch ever could. For the world, the story of Elon Musk's bravery served as a reminder that true leadership comes not from power or status, but from the willingness to act when it matters most. In the weeks following the dramatic rescue, the world was captivated by the story of Elon Musk's heroic act. News outlets across the globe hailed him as a true hero, and the story took on a life of its own. Musk was no stranger to the public eye, but this was different. This was a story of selflessness, bravery, and the kind of courage that transcended the high-tech world he was known for. The images of him holding the child on that precarious ledge were circulated endlessly, forever embedding him in the public's imagination as more than just a billionaire entrepreneur. The child, whose name was Sophia, was a small but powerful symbol of resilience. After the rescue, she was briefly hospitalized, though she had escaped with only a few minor scrapes and bruises. She recovered quickly, surrounded by her loving family. But the moment she had shared with Musk on the edge of that building would forever bond them in an unspoken way. She and her family made public statements expressing their eternal gratitude for Musk's bravery, though Sophia's mother could hardly express the depth of her emotions without tears. Meanwhile, Musk quietly returned to his usual work, despite the attention that followed him everywhere he went. He still led SpaceX and Tesla, pushing forward with his visionary goals of advancing space exploration and revolutionizing the transportation industry. But in the days after the rescue, a shift occurred in his own internal compass. The media frenzy had come and gone, and the world had moved on to other headlines. But Musk couldn't forget what had happened, nor could he ignore the change it had sparked within him. At first, he was reluctant to talk about the experience. The people closest to him had known the details. The fear, the adrenaline, the drive to act without thinking about the risks. Musk had long been known for taking risks in business, but this was different. This was a moment when his life was truly on the line, and for the first time, he had put himself in harm's way without a second thought. But as time passed, Musk began to reflect on the deeper significance of that act. The urgency of the situation had forced him to act decisively, without hesitation, and without calculating the costs or consequences. He had simply acted because it was the right thing to do. "I never thought about anything other than getting her to safety," Musk admitted in an exclusive interview with a journalist several months later. "When I saw that child on the edge, there was no plan. It was instinct. You just do what you have to do." The interview went viral, and Musk's words struck a chord with people from all walks of life. For many, his humility in describing the rescue was as powerful as the act itself. In a world where powerful individuals were often seen as out of touch, Musk's openness and candidness about his fears and motivations humanized him in a way that few public figures ever achieved. Sophia's family, grateful for the second chance they had been given, made it a priority to stay in touch with Musk. They kept in touch through letters, phone calls, and even visits to SpaceX, where Sophia, now a few years older, would visit the facility with her family. Musk, though still focused on his many projects, had an unexpected warmth whenever he spoke with them. It was clear that the experience had left an indelible mark on his soul. But as the months passed, Musk began to notice a strange shift in his own perspective. His colleagues at Tesla, SpaceX, and his other companies noticed the difference as well. He started focusing more on the human impact of his work. Though he remained committed to his ambitious goals of advancing technology, he began to explore new ways to help people, not just in terms of innovation and business, but through direct, personal involvement. One of the first things Musk did was to push for SpaceX to partner with organizations focused on disaster relief. Inspired by his own experience with Sophia's life-threatening situation, he saw an opportunity to apply the resources of his companies in a way that could directly benefit people in crisis. SpaceX would donate funds to disaster-stricken areas, including earthquake victims, floods, and fires, but Musk went further. He insisted that SpaceX engineers work with local governments and organizations to offer practical solutions, from creating portable energy sources to providing clean drinking water in emergency situations. It's not just about building rockets, Musk said during one public address. It's about using what we have to make the world a better place in every way we can. We can send people to Mars, but that doesn't mean we should ignore the problems we face on Earth. Every life matters. This shift toward a more human-centered approach in his business was met with mixed reactions. His supporters saw the potential for Musk to reshape the way billionaires use their influence, while detractors wondered if this newfound humanitarian focus was just another PR stunt. But for Musk, the decision felt authentic. The rescue of Sophia had shown him that, at the end of the day, his wealth, his companies, and his fame were only meaningful if they could make a difference in the lives of others. The next chapter in Musk's life would come unexpectedly. Several months after the rescue, Musk received a letter from Sophia's family. It wasn't just a letter of thanks, though. It was an invitation for him to attend Sophia's birthday party, a small, private gathering to celebrate her recovery and the family's newfound sense of gratitude for life. The letter was simple, but it carried a profound message. "We wouldn't be here without you," Sophia's mother wrote. "You saved her life, and for that, we are eternally grateful. Please join us as we celebrate the greatest gift of all, life." Musk, initially reluctant to attend, found himself moved by the sincerity of the invitation. The thought of attending a child's birthday party was far from the world of rockets, electric cars, and artificial intelligence he usually inhabited. But he knew that, in this moment, he needed to be there, not as a billionaire or an inventor, but as the man who had saved Sophia's life. The party was held at a quiet, suburban house in a small town outside of Los Angeles. Musk arrived, uncharacteristically subdued and dressed casually in jeans and a t-shirt. He was greeted warmly by Sophia's parents, who introduced him to friends and extended family. Sophia, now a little older and filled with the energy of youth, ran up to him as soon as she saw him, her face beaming with the brightest smile. "Thank you," she exclaimed, throwing her arms around him in a tight hug. Musk crouched down to her level, his smile genuine. "I'm glad you're okay," he said, his voice soft. As the party continued, Musk observed the joy in the room. Sophia laughing with her friends, her parents watching with tears in their eyes as they marveled at how far she had come. It was a simple celebration, but to Musk, it was one of the most meaningful moments of his life. He wasn't just a tech mogul in that moment. He was someone who had made a difference, someone who had changed a family's future. For the first time in his life, Musk allowed himself to fully experience the human side of life. The relationships, the emotions, the connections that couldn't be measured in financial terms or technological advancements. That day, at Sophia's birthday party, he realized that saving her life had changed his own in ways he hadn't expected. The following weeks saw Musk speaking publicly about the experience more often. He spoke not just about his role in saving the child, but about the importance of compassion, of looking out for others, of using technology not just to push boundaries but to improve lives. The media coverage continued, but it was no longer about him. It was about the change he had ignited, the lives he had impacted, and the legacy he hoped to leave behind. In the end, Elon Musk's life, already extraordinary for its achievements, became even more significant for the life he had saved, and for the human side of him that had emerged as a result. The story of Sophia and the sacrifice Musk had made for her would echo in his legacy for years to come, a reminder that even the most remarkable people are ultimately defined by the lives they touch. The months following Sophia's birthday party marked a turning point for Elon Musk. Though his business ventures continued to push forward, his focus subtly shifted. While his innovations in space exploration, sustainable energy, and artificial intelligence still occupied much of his attention, Musk had become increasingly involved in social issues. The death-defying act he'd performed to save Sophia had sparked something deeper within him, a realization that he could no longer operate solely as a businessman and inventor. He had to be a force for good in the world, not just through technology, but through meaningful acts that affected lives on a personal level. As he threw himself into his new mission, Musk's sense of responsibility grew. He began a personal campaign to advocate for the importance of technology in disaster relief, pushing for SpaceX and Tesla to be more involved in community efforts. While his companies were already working on sustainable energy solutions and self-driving vehicles, Musk took a more hands-on approach to ensure these technologies were deployed for the public good, especially in emergency situations. One of his first initiatives was to partner with non-profit organizations to deploy Tesla's Powerwall technology to communities that were frequently affected by natural disasters. Musk pushed for a collaboration between Tesla and emergency management agencies to create mobile energy solutions that could be rapidly deployed during wildfires, hurricanes, and floods. There's no reason why communities should have to suffer because of an outdated grid system, Musk stated during an interview. We have the technology to make sure they don't have to. This isn't just about profits. This is about ensuring that we can help people when they need it the most. While the initiative was still in its early stages, the positive response from communities, government agencies, and environmental groups was overwhelming. Local leaders lauded Musk's efforts, and the media quickly picked up on the shift in his priorities, noting that the billionaire had become more focused on humanity than his next big innovation. As his commitment to social change grew, Musk also began spending more time volunteering and getting directly involved with the families and communities he sought to help. Whether it was visiting schools and talking to children about the importance of science and technology, or helping in food banks, Musk's presence became symbolic of something more than just a tech mogul. He was now seen as a philanthropist and humanitarian, his focus turning to tangible change rather than corporate dominance. In addition to his environmental efforts, Musk took a special interest in mental health awareness. His experiences with his own public life, the pressures of constant media scrutiny, and the personal toll that came with running multiple high-profile companies had given him insight into the struggles many people faced, particularly in terms of mental health. He began collaborating with mental health organizations to create programs that would raise awareness about the importance of mental well-being, particularly for young people growing up in a hyper-connected, high-pressure world. Musk also worked with schools to implement STEM programs aimed at empowering young women and minorities to pursue careers in science and engineering. He established scholarships and internships within his companies for students from underprivileged backgrounds, hoping to provide them with the same opportunities he had been afforded. Through his network, he even helped fund youth programs in rural areas, ensuring that even children from the most isolated parts of the country had access to the resources and education that could change the trajectory of their lives. I was lucky enough to have had mentors, teachers, and opportunities that opened doors for me, Musk said during one of his keynote speeches on education. We have to ensure that every child, no matter where they're from, gets the same chance. The future depends on it. His personal journey toward deeper engagement with society made headlines, but it also inspired countless others, both within Silicon Valley and beyond, to reconsider the role that money, power, and innovation played in shaping the future. Musk had long been known as an innovator, a man who dared to dream bigger than most people could even imagine. But now, he was being recognized for the compassion and empathy that had developed in him after the rescue of Sophia. As the anniversary of the dramatic rescue approached, Musk received another letter from Sophia's family. This time, it wasn't just a simple thank you note. The family invited him to a community event they were hosting in their neighborhood, where they planned to honor the heroes who had made a difference in their lives. The event would focus on raising awareness for childhood safety and mental health, and they had chosen Musk to be the keynote speaker. Musk, though often reluctant to accept public recognition, agreed. He had forged a deep bond with Sophia's family over the past year, and he knew this event would be different. It was not about him. It was about the message they were trying to send, a message of hope, resilience, and the power of small actions to create a big difference. When the day of the event arrived, the turnout was overwhelming. Hundreds of people filled the community center, the air thick with anticipation. The atmosphere was one of warmth, with families, children, and community leaders gathered together to honor the sacrifices and efforts that had made a difference in their lives. Sophia, now a cheerful and spirited young girl, was present with her family, beaming from ear to ear. Musk walked to the stage amidst applause, his usual air of confidence tempered by the weight of the moment. As he stepped up to the microphone, the crowd fell silent, waiting for him to speak. He paused for a moment, looking out over the sea of faces. The energy in the room was palpable, but Musk had come to realize that this moment wasn't about his usual bravado. This was different. "Thank you for having me here today," Musk began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I never imagined that one moment, one action, could change the course of my life. When I saved Sophia, I wasn't thinking about anything other than the fact that she needed help. What I didn't realize was that it would open my eyes to the ways I could help, not just in that moment, but every day." The audience listened intently, hanging on his every word. "I've spent so much of my life focused on technology, on space, on energy. But saving Sophia taught me that the most important thing we can do in this world is help each other. We can build all the rockets we want, but what really matters is how we treat people, how we lift each other up, how we make sure that every child, every person, has the chance to live a better life." Musk paused, letting his words sink in. "I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I'm sure I'll make more. But I've learned that the things that really matter aren't the ones that make headlines or break records. They're the small things, the things that make a real difference in someone else's life." The room was still. A few moments passed before the crowd erupted into applause. Musk's words had struck a deep chord with the audience, and his humility and genuine care resonated more than any technological breakthrough or business success ever could. After the event, as Musk mingled with the crowd, he was approached by Sophia's parents. They hugged him tightly, tears in their eyes. "You've done more than save our daughter's life," her father said, his voice choked with emotion. "You've given us back our hope. You've shown us that there's still good in the world, and that's something we'll never forget." Musk smiled, his heart full. "I'm just glad I could help," he said simply. As the evening drew to a close, Musk stood outside the community center, looking out at the sunset. The city was still bustling, but in that moment, it felt quieter. He felt at peace, knowing that the path he was on now was one that truly mattered. He had come a long way from the man who had rushed to the edge of that building, risking everything to save a child he'd never met. Now, he was a man who had begun to understand that the most meaningful contributions he could make weren't about rockets or electric cars. They were about lifting up those around him, about ensuring that the future he was building would be one where everyone had the opportunity to thrive. As he walked to his car, the evening air crisp and cool, Elon Musk knew that he had found a new purpose. It wasn't just about innovation, it was about humanity. And that was something that could truly change the world. In the weeks following the event, Musk's life continued to evolve in ways he hadn't expected. His work with Tesla, SpaceX, and his other companies continued, but there was a noticeable shift in his focus. The world had seen him as a visionary, a man who could revolutionize technology, but now he was also becoming known for something else, a man who cared about the future of humanity in a deeper, more personal way. The attention he had received for saving Sophia's life had sparked a global conversation, one that had moved far beyond the tech world. People from all walks of life, from business leaders to schoolchildren, began to see Musk as a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the most unlikely heroes could make a difference in the world. His story was one of courage, of risking everything for someone else, and it inspired countless individuals to reflect on their own roles in their communities and the world at large. But Musk, ever the self-reflective and often private man, struggled with the weight of this new perception. He wasn't comfortable being seen as a hero. He wasn't seeking accolades or recognition. To him, the act of saving Sophia had been just that, an act of instinct, of doing what needed to be done. It had been a moment of truth that had defined him, but he wasn't sure how to process the aftermath. In an attempt to process everything, Musk turned inward. He began spending more time meditating, contemplating the direction his life was taking. He had always been driven by the pursuit of innovation, the desire to solve the world's greatest problems. But now, he felt a deeper connection to the people he was trying to help. The concept of legacy had started to shift in his mind. It wasn't enough to just build companies or travel to space. It was about creating something that would impact people's lives directly, meaningfully, and sustainably. This realization led Musk to another new venture, the launch of a global initiative called Tech for Humanity. Unlike his previous projects, which were largely focused on products or solutions, Tech for Humanity aimed to address the broader issues of equity, access, and social justice through the application of cutting-edge technology. It wasn't just about creating innovative solutions, it was about ensuring that everyone, no matter their background, had access to those solutions. He had always known that technology could change the world, but this time, Musk's focus was not on how technology could change the world for the few, but for the many. In Tech for Humanity, he saw a path forward that aligned with his newfound sense of purpose, using his resources and influence to help tackle some of the world's biggest challenges. The first step was to partner with several international organizations focused on providing education and healthcare to underserved communities. Musk pledged to use Tesla's vast network of solar-powered stations and electric vehicles to provide clean energy and transportation to remote areas. He also announced plans to develop low-cost, solar-powered devices that would allow people in rural areas to access the internet and other essential services. For Musk, the project was deeply personal. He knew firsthand the value of education and access to technology. He had built his empire on these very principles, but he was acutely aware that not everyone had the same advantages. The idea of providing educational tools to children in impoverished areas or giving remote communities access to medical care and resources filled him with a sense of urgency and fulfillment. But Tech for Humanity wasn't just about giving away technology. Musk wanted to ensure that these initiatives were sustainable and that they created lasting change. For that reason, he began working closely with local governments, nonprofits, and community leaders to ensure that the solutions he was implementing were tailored to the specific needs of each community. His work in this area did not go unnoticed. As the initiative gained momentum, more and more people joined the cause. Entrepreneurs, engineers, and educators who shared Musk's vision for a more connected and equitable world. His commitment to changing lives became a source of inspiration for many, and the global impact of the initiative began to grow. But while Musk's efforts were being celebrated on a global scale, Sophia's family remained an important part of his journey. They had stayed in touch, and as Sophia grew older, she too became involved in the Tech for Humanity initiative. Her parents had made it a point to show her the importance of giving back, of using one's talents and abilities to help others. She had become a passionate advocate for children's rights and was involved in various charitable projects that aimed to provide education and resources to children in need. The bond between Musk and Sophia's family grew stronger over the years. What had started as a single moment of heroism had blossomed into a lasting friendship, one built on a shared commitment to changing the world for the better. Sophia, now in her early teens, would often attend events with Musk, speaking alongside him about the importance of education, empathy, and making a difference. She had become a young voice for the cause that Musk had devoted his life to. As Tech for Humanity expanded, it became clear that Musk's approach was different from traditional philanthropic efforts. His background in technology and business allowed him to bring innovative solutions to problems that had been ignored for far too long. He used his wealth and influence not just to donate money, but to develop new models of doing business, models that prioritize sustainability, accessibility, and the common good. One of his most ambitious projects within Tech for Humanity was the creation of a global network of learning hubs. These hubs were essentially mobile, solar-powered classrooms equipped with computers and internet access. They could be deployed to disaster areas, rural villages, and even conflict zones, providing children and adults alike with the tools they needed to learn and grow. The learning hubs were an immediate success. Thousands of children who had never had access to proper education were able to participate in lessons on subjects ranging from mathematics and science to the arts and humanities. The hubs also provided training programs for adults, equipping them with skills that would help them find employment or start their own businesses. Musk's focus on education was not just about academic achievement, it was about empowerment. He believed that the key to solving many of the world's most pressing issues lay in educating the next generation, teaching them how to think critically, how to collaborate, and how to use technology to make a positive impact. The success of the learning hubs led to Musk's next major initiative, the Global Scholars Program. The program was designed to provide scholarships to talented students from disadvantaged backgrounds, offering them the chance to attend top universities around the world. Musk wanted to ensure that these students had the resources and support they needed to succeed, and he worked with universities, governments, and corporate partners to create a global network of mentors, advisors, and financial aid. As the program grew, it became clear that Musk's efforts were having a profound impact. Many of the students who had received scholarships through the Global Scholars Program went on to become leaders in their fields, launching successful businesses, working for humanitarian organizations, and creating innovations that were changing the world. Musk had started a ripple effect, empowering a new generation of leaders to carry the torch for social change. Through all of this, Musk never lost sight of the core values that had driven him from the very beginning. He continued to push the boundaries of what was possible, whether it was in space, energy, or technology. But now, his focus had expanded. His work wasn't just about the future of technology, it was about the future of humanity. The story of Sophia and the rescue that had started it all remained a constant reminder for Musk of why he had to keep moving forward. His vision for the future had changed. It was no longer just about building the next big thing. It was about ensuring that the technology he helped create benefited everyone, that it reached people who needed it the most, and that it made the world a better place. And in doing so, Musk had discovered a new kind of success, a success not measured by the wealth or accolades he had accumulated, but by the lives he had touched and the world he had helped change. Musk's transformation into a champion for social good continued to gain traction, but the pressures of leading multiple cutting-edge companies while also spearheading humanitarian projects began to take their toll. The media attention was ever-present, with headlines following his every move, and the expectations from those who saw him as a savior of the world were growing exponentially. Yet, Musk remained steadfast in his purpose, driven by a deep-seated desire to continue making the world a better place. His endeavors with Tech for Humanity were reaching unprecedented levels of success. The learning hubs were now operational in over 25 countries, providing both children and adults the education they so desperately needed. Every day, more and more people were benefiting from the innovative solar-powered classrooms, learning new skills that could change their lives. While the impact was being felt on a global scale, Musk was adamant that the work was far from over. On the day that Tech for Humanity launched a new phase of their efforts, Musk stood in front of a live audience at the headquarters of SpaceX in Hawthorne, California. Behind him, a large digital screen displayed the latest success, an interactive map showing the global reach of the initiative, with green dots appearing on areas that had benefited from the learning hubs. Today marks the beginning of something that will affect generations to come, Musk said, his voice steady but filled with passion. We're not just talking about access to technology or education. We're talking about creating opportunities for every person, regardless of where they were born or what resources they had. This is about making sure every human being has the chance to fulfill their potential. The crowd, a mixture of engineers, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, and policymakers, erupted into applause. Musk's vision had become a reality, But as much as he appreciated the recognition, he knew that it was only the start. He was now determined to take this effort to the next level. He announced a new initiative that would build on the foundation of Tech for Humanity, the Global Future Leaders Initiative. This new project was designed to provide the next generation of changemakers, young, bright individuals, from around the world with the skills, mentorship, and resources to address the most critical issues facing humanity: climate change, healthcare, poverty, and more. It would give these young leaders the tools they needed to develop innovative solutions to global problems. Musk's energy for the cause was palpable, but the road to fulfilling this new vision would not be without its obstacles. While Tech for Humanity had been a success, there was still opposition, both from the business world and from those who doubted the effectiveness of his grand plans. Not all the leaders in the tech community shared Musk's values. Some argued that Musk was getting distracted from his businesses, focusing too much on philanthropy rather than advancing technology. Others questioned the feasibility of his far-reaching plans and the true scope of their impact. Critics within his own companies warned him about spreading himself too thin. It was difficult to balance the intense demands of his businesses with the growing global commitment he had made to change lives. Musk's response to these challenges was unwavering. "I've always believed that when you see a problem, you have two choices: ignore it or do something about it," Musk said during an interview. "I can't just sit back and wait for someone else to take care of these problems. Whether it's building rockets or providing clean energy to communities that don't have access to it, I believe it's my responsibility to make sure the world is moving toward a better future. We can't just build for the privileged few. We need to build for everyone." His commitment to his mission, however, did not come without personal sacrifice. As he expanded his efforts to help those in need, Musk found himself spending less time with his family, especially his children. The long hours he dedicated to his ventures and the pressures of managing multiple projects created an emotional strain in his personal life. Despite his profound desire to make a difference, he knew he had to find balance before the weight of his work consumed him entirely. His family, especially his children, had always been at the core of his existence. Musk knew that his actions were helping future generations, but he also had to ensure that his own children understood the value of personal connections and time spent together. The internal conflict was a constant struggle, and in an effort to maintain his personal relationships, Musk began setting aside more time to be with his family. One evening, as the sun began to set over Los Angeles, Musk sat on the patio of his home, reflecting on the balance between his public life and his personal one. He had just returned from a week-long trip to a disaster-stricken region, where he had seen firsthand the impact of his company's initiatives. The images of families receiving clean energy solutions and children learning on solar-powered laptops had filled him with pride, but as he walked through the door that evening, he found himself wishing for simpler moments. His son, X-A12, now old enough to understand his father's work, ran up to him with a drawing in hand. "Dad," X exclaimed, holding up the colorful picture. "This is you in the rocket ship. And I'm flying with you. We're going to Mars." Musk smiled, kneeling down to his son's level. "That's amazing, buddy. You know, I think we're going to get there one day. We're going to make it happen." X beamed, handing the drawing over. "Promise?" Musk looked at the drawing, his heart swelling with emotion. "I promise," he said quietly, vowing to keep that dream alive, not just for his son, but for the generations to come. Despite the challenges, the dedication Musk had to his children and the future they would inherit was clear. His role as a father wasn't something he took lightly. In the moments of quiet reflection, Musk realized that the sacrifices he was making in his personal life were part of a bigger picture. He was building a future for his children, one where they could live in a world where access to education, technology, and clean energy were no longer luxuries but rights. As Tech for Humanity and the Global Future Leaders Initiative continued to grow, so did the challenges Musk faced. The skepticism surrounding his bold plans and the logistical hurdles of scaling such global initiatives were significant. But Musk, as always, was undeterred. He refused to let doubt or obstacles stop him. He would find a way to make the world better for those who had been left behind. And in doing so, he hoped to inspire others to do the same. Musk began to realize that the work he was doing wasn't just for his children's future, It was for everyone's future. As he sat down with his teams at Tesla, SpaceX, and the many nonprofit organizations he had partnered with, Musk began developing plans for a new project that would consolidate his work into a cohesive, sustainable model for change. He called it Future Now. Future Now was designed to take the best of Musk's work in space, energy, and technology and combine them into an integrated solution for the world's most pressing challenges. He envisioned a global network of interconnected, solar-powered hubs, places where people could come to learn, innovate, and create the future. Future Now is about giving people the resources they need to build their own futures, no matter where they are, Musk explained in a press conference. It's about creating an ecosystem of change that spans across the globe. The announcement of Future Now marked a new chapter in Musk's legacy. It was a culmination of all his years of hard work and vision, but it was also a commitment to something even bigger than himself. The project would provide resources and infrastructure to help people all over the world, whether they were in a bustling city or a remote village. Musk's focus had broadened, but his message had remained the same. Technology was meant to serve humanity, and it was time for the world to see what could happen when technology and compassion collided. As Musk's vision for Future Now took shape, the world watched with a mix of anticipation and skepticism. The initiative was massive, ambitious, and far-reaching. Some believed it was too grand for even Musk to pull off. But for Musk, there was no turning back. The determination in his eyes was unmistakable. This was the culmination of everything he had learned, everything he had built, and everything he had experienced, especially after that life-changing rescue of Sophia. Future Now was not just a charity, nor was it just a business venture. It was an integrated, holistic approach to solving humanity's most pressing problems. It would combine sustainable energy, cutting-edge education, and revolutionary transportation solutions all into one interconnected framework. Musk had long believed that technology could be the answer to many of the world's issues, but now he was focused on one key point: how could it reach everyone? The initiative would provide energy solutions for communities that lacked access to electricity, implement online education systems for underserved populations, and create low-cost, environmentally sustainable infrastructure for transportation and living. Musk had long been an advocate for clean energy, but with Future Now, he was taking it a step further, making sure that energy didn't just come from solar panels on the roofs of the wealthy, but that entire communities could be powered by renewable resources, giving people the freedom to pursue their dreams without the burden of energy poverty. The plan was bold, but Musk's ability to make the impossible possible had become his trademark. The real test, however, was whether he could unite the world around this vision. Governments, businesses, and everyday citizens would have to work together to bring this project to fruition, and Musk knew that he needed their help. He couldn't change the world alone. The first phase of Future Now was focused on developing and deploying solar-powered energy hubs in key regions around the world. Musk had already initiated partnerships with local governments in Africa, South America, and parts of Asia, areas where energy access was often unreliable, if not entirely non-existent. His team worked day and night to produce the hardware needed for these energy hubs, which would supply entire neighborhoods with clean, renewable power. The second phase, the educational component, was focused on providing internet access to remote areas where connectivity was a luxury that few could afford. Musk knew that the key to long-term change was not just about providing resources but also creating opportunities for people to improve their own lives. By providing internet access, he hoped to give students in rural and underserved areas the ability to learn from top universities, access online courses, and connect with mentors from around the world. It was about opening doors and allowing people to teach themselves, to grow and thrive on their own terms. The third phase involved transportation, specifically electric vehicles, EVs, and sustainable infrastructure. Musk had already revolutionized the automotive industry with Tesla, but now he wanted to take it a step further. Future Now would help build charging networks for electric vehicles in places where infrastructure was lacking, making EVs more accessible to people who had previously been excluded from the green energy revolution. And it wasn't just about cars. Musk also envisioned a network of electric buses, trains, and even planes that would help people travel sustainably, reducing emissions and making transportation more affordable for people in developing countries. Despite his confidence, Musk knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges. Critics of the initiative pointed out that it was an incredibly ambitious project that would require billions of dollars to execute, and there were plenty of risks involved. Could it truly reach all the people who needed it? Would governments and local organizations cooperate to make it happen? And what if it failed? Musk wasn't one to shy away from failure. In fact, he had learned to embrace it over the years. His ventures, from the early days of PayPal to the challenges of launching SpaceX rockets, had all faced setbacks. But it was those very setbacks that had taught him the resilience he needed to succeed. Failure, he had learned, wasn't a reason to give up. It was a reason to adapt, innovate, and keep moving forward. Look, the world needs bold solutions, Musk said in an interview when asked about the potential risks. We can't keep doing things the way we've been doing them. If we don't try something different, we'll continue to face the same problems for generations to come. I believe that future now is the answer, and I'm not afraid to take risks to make it happen. The global launch of Future Now took place in New York City, where Musk and several world leaders, including representatives from international organizations, gathered to announce the initiative to the world. The event was streamed live across multiple platforms, and millions of people tuned in to witness the grand unveiling. Musk took to the stage, wearing his signature casual black t-shirt and jeans. As he stepped in front of the audience, he was met with a mixture of applause and skepticism. The crowd was hungry for answers. Could this ambitious project really live up to the promises Musk had made? Good evening, everyone, Musk began, his voice calm but firm. I'm here today because I believe that we have reached a turning point in history. We're facing challenges that are bigger than any one person, any one company, or any one nation. But I also believe that the solutions to these challenges are within our reach. The future we've been dreaming of is possible. It's just a matter of how we get there. The audience listened intently as Musk outlined the goals of Future Now, detailing how the program would provide solar-powered energy to underserved communities, offer free educational resources to millions of children and adults, and build sustainable infrastructure to make electric vehicles accessible to people everywhere. We have the technology, the knowledge, and the passion to change the world. But we can't do it alone, Musk continued. It's going to take all of us, governments, businesses, individuals, working together to make this vision a reality. And I'm here to tell you that we can do it. The crowd's response was overwhelmingly positive, but there was still the looming question. Could this be done? Was Musk overpromising again? But Musk's track record spoke for itself. SpaceX had put rockets into orbit, Tesla had redefined the automotive industry, and his other ventures were consistently pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The audience could sense the passion and determination in his words, and for the first time in a long while, there was a glimmer of hope. In the weeks following the launch, global interest in Future Now skyrocketed. Donations from corporations, governments, and private individuals began pouring in, and Musk's team worked around the clock to develop the necessary infrastructure for the first solar-powered hubs and educational platforms. The work was arduous, and the obstacles were many, but Musk's team, bolstered by the global support they had received, remained committed to the vision. Musk continued to travel the world, meeting with local leaders to push the project forward. He spent time in countries like Kenya, India, and Brazil, where the need for sustainable energy and accessible education was most pressing. His efforts were met with both enthusiasm and skepticism, but one thing became clear: he wasn't just talking about a new business model. Musk was committed to reshaping the very fabric of society. As the months went by, the first solar-powered energy hubs began to take root. In rural villages across Africa and South America, families were able to power their homes with clean, renewable energy for the first time. Schools that had never had access to technology now had laptops and internet access, and children were able to learn subjects they had once only dreamed of studying. Transportation systems, built with electric buses and solar-powered charging stations, began to emerge in cities that had long been plagued by pollution and traffic congestion. The success of these early projects proved that Musk's vision was possible. The ripple effect of future now had begun to take shape, and the world was starting to see the tangible impact of his initiatives. And with every new success, Musk's commitment to the cause deepened. As he stood on the balcony of his SpaceX headquarters, watching the sun set over the city of Los Angeles, Musk allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. There was still so much to be done, but for the first time in his life, he felt like he was on the right path. A path that would not only change the world, but make it a better place for generations to come.